Hello, good evening. Welcome to H3, the show about health, hope, and happiness. I'm Allan Friesen, and with me is Brother Scott Sweeman. How you doing tonight, Brother Scott?
It's a crazy night here in the hood, but it's going okay.
We've had
Great to see you, though, and our audience. It's been a little while. It's been
it
a
has
minute.
been a little while. Yeah, we've. I think that's why we had so many challenges. We forgot how to do this. It's been so long. So yes, but
Yeah,
we got
I
Jesse
just took
Parmar.
my "Don't Be Crazy" pill, so that I'll be okay now.
Nice. We got Jesse Parmar running the controls, so we know that things are happening good now. Thank you, Brother Jesse.
Oh, that Jess! If you folks out there don't know Jesse Palmer, look him up. Get a chance to meet him. The man is a juggernaut of getting stuff done. It's
He
amazing.
is. He is exactly. So thanks for joining us. It's been quite a while since we had a show, mostly because I was away in India for a bit. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that experience that I had. Basically, I was introduced to Ayurvedic medicine through a movie called The Natural Law, which was out in 2023 and fall of 2023. And I learned about Ayurvedic medicine and a word about the different doshas that you have. Scott, do you see, has my screen got a little goofy thing happening?
It does. I'm just wondering if it's a thought bubble or what's
Yeah, I
going
don't
on.
know what the heck that is. I don't know how to change it either. But whatever. So, anyways, I learned about Ayurvedic medicine from the movie The Natural Law. And the person who produced the movie The Natural Law, his name is Amish Shah. And he's a Indian fellow that lived in the United States. And he was very successful financially, but then had quite a reversal on his health, that his health was getting worse and worse. And he was getting like suicidal and just like pain every day and that kind of a thing. And so he wanted to explore ways to restore his health. And that led him on a journey to India and kind of to recover his historical roots there. And then in so doing, he restored his health, and then he kind of shared a lot of information about how Ayurvedic medicine works, which has been around for like 10,000 years. And then a few months ago, he sent out a little note and said, "Hey, I'm going to have a Panchakarma clinic." And Panchakarma actually means 5 actions. And so it's a treatment center. And we went to the Dham Nature Cure Center in Pune. And Pune is
What
like
part of India is that in, Al? Sorry.
you know what? I think it's in the southern part, but I'm not really sure. Saw very little of India. It was just like, okay, get on this plane and go here, and yeah. And so before I went to the Dham Nature Cure Center, which was a great facility, amazing food, amazing people there. Before I did that, I went to an area called Goa, and Goa is a little bit different than the rest of India. A lot of India is dry, and Goa is not dry by any means. It's a party
And we're
town.
not talking about precipitation here, right?
No, we're not. We're talking about alcohol. So yes. So I went there, and there I rented a scooter for the first couple days, which I survived it. Hallelujah! But it was pretty scary at times. As a matter of fact, here I got a little video clip. I think that I'll show you.
Oh,
Right.
this isn't for the weak-hearted.
Oh my.
I've seen some of this video, so if you're weak-hearted, look away or look through your fingers.
Where is it here? Do...
The video is a testament to Al's skill balancing on 2 wheels while navigating unknown terrain.
Oh yeah, okay. Here, this is just a little short video clip, but it shows you. Oh, all right, we'll get there. There it goes. When it gets tight like this, and then look at on the left-hand side what you have to kind of navigate through, and there the cars are going to take the space the cars are going to take, and you kind of have to run around them. It's an interesting process, and they don't mark any damn streets. Man, it's a frustrating thing driving around this place. Yes, so that's the scooter experience in Goa, which was very interesting.
Well, and if people don't know and aren't motorcycle or scooter drivers, all of those things that you're so close to on the left side, hitting any of those would send you back over front in a second.
Definitely. Yeah. And what it doesn't show in this part is all the cows and the dogs. You're like whizzing around the cows and the dogs. Is crazy. Now this is in Goa, and Goa is not near as much traffic as the bigger centers. Later, I went to Mumbai, and I was like, oh man, I would never ride a scooter at Mumbai. It's just like crazy. And everybody's honking their horns and flashing their lights. And it's just like, now they use their horns and their lights as a communication tool, not as in here when we're honking the horn, we're saying, hey, you back, you blah, blah, blah. But they're saying, I'm passing you now, or, I'm coming around to your side. So, and if you saw in that little video clip, there was like an open ditch there as well. So, man, if you have to scooch over and get in that, you'd be in big trouble. Matter of fact, when I was walking at one point, the first 2 days I was on the scooter, and I got lost horribly every day. I had Google Maps, but it just didn't matter. Like none of the streets are marked, so you don't know where things are. And talking to the natives, basically the people who live there, all they do is they just ask questions. Okay, here's where I'm trying to go. Which and every time I asked that question, it was always straight. Every person told me it was straight, and I got horribly lost. So after 2 days, I wasn't going to ride the scooter anymore. Done with the scooter. And then the next day, I went walking. I got lost walking while I had Google Maps. And I think part of it is the connectivity wasn't very good. So it wouldn't keep me up to date that I was actually going the right way. And then finally, it's like I was 17 minutes away from my hotel for like 3 hours. It was just like I would go and then, no, I got to go the other way. And then on that same day, I was walking back to the hotel. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and a car got really close to me. So I stepped to the side, face planted in one of those ditches, cut my chin and my knee, and just got kind of beat up. But anyways, so that was an experience. But so
I've never been there, but I've been told by Indian people that part of the reason for all that is because of the space, India is quite large, and the diversity of concentration of people, that there's a lot of regional and local government so the central government that produces maps and things may not be aware that the local government has changed the road system. And so, even like the local navigation system may show roads that are no longer there, and they're just sort of ghost roads. And that's what's explained to me. So,
and that makes sense. And none of the roads are marked, none. So it's just like, okay, you're following you're supposed to turn up here, but where, right? And it's not like it's like, here's a paved road. Sometimes it's gravel or dirt or whatever, right? Matter of fact, the gentleman who drove me from Pune to get the flight at Mumbai, he took me on a bizarre route because there was construction, and it was around this lake, and it was twisty and turny, and we're going along on a pavement, and then all of a sudden there's gravel, and then there's rumble strips, and there's speed bumps, and it was, oh my goodness, and then cows and dogs that you're going around. Yeah, it was quite an experience.
But something you shared with me that's really interesting is the first day, and you can talk to how low the wages and everything is you actually left behind an envelope with quite a lot of money by Indian standards, not huge by Canadian standards, and it was returned to you, no problem.
Amazingly, yeah, I had a 25,000 rupees in the envelope, and I went to get a taxi ride, and I paid 1,500 rupees for the taxi ride, and then I left this envelope of 23,500 rupees sitting at the counter and walked away from it because I was probably exhausted. This flight started at Saturday at 5:30 in the evening, and I didn't get to Goa till 7:30 on Monday morning. So it was just exhausted, and I left that envelope there. And so I rented the scooter to go back to the airport, and that was a whole adventure. I ran out of fuel and all kinds of stuff. But I finally got to the airport, and I went to the rental counter, and I said, "Hey, did I leave an envelope here?" And they said no. And then they checked with the driver, and he said no, he didn't have it. And then the police, there was some police officers there, and all of them are armed. Everybody's got their rifles and their pistols on their person there. Wow. And I told them my story, and they said, well, we'll check with the lost and found. And sure enough, somebody had turned in 23,500 rupees. And I mean, that's like about 500 Canadian dollars is what it is, right? So it wouldn't have been horrible if I lost that. But the massage therapist, one of the massage therapists that I was talking to, he said that he gets paid 2,000 rupees a month. So that would have been like a year's salary kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, and that's a skilled professional, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's so. Yeah, I'm wondering how many Canadians, if you did that in Canada, would you get a year's worth of Canadian salary back in an unmarked envelope that you had no way to
I would like to think yes, but I'm not so sure that would be true. So yeah. But amazingly got the money back, and that was great. And then had this experience in Go, which was a lot of partying and having fun and dancing. I kind of got toxed up so that I could go to the detox at the Deham Nature Cure Center. And then at the Deham Nature Cure Center, oh my goodness, the first, I think I got there at like midnight. And then the next morning, 5:30 in the morning, my phone's ringing to wake me up to come for a cure. It's like, what? And so like, yeah, look at this. I'll show you my, the treatment plan they gave me here. Where's this? Oh yeah, here it is here. Yeah. So these are the things.
Wow.
Yeah. So jala, neti, and eye wash and oil pulling, a janu basti, a knee pack. Most of these things, I don't know what they are now, but the neti is like, the running the water, the salty water through your sinuses and that. And an eye wash is just holding a little cup up and blinking your eye to do that. And oil pulling is where you put sesame oil in your mouth and you like squish it around to be able to spit out the toxins that have accumulated over the evening. One thing they didn't do that I normally do is what's called tongue scraping. You use a little scraper and scrape your tongue before you do the oil pulling. And then a lot of these are massages and yes, quite surprising was enema. I have never ever had an enema in my life. I think I had 6 while I was there, and they basically put different herbs and such in the oil, and then pump you full, and then you hold on to that for as long as you can, and then you expel it. So yeah, so that was an interesting thing. But
so a lot of these treatments sound like they're to pull toxins out of your body, that there's herbs, substances, whatever, that are absorbative. Yeah,
that is true. Yeah. And so basically the enemas were to put good things in your body, but a lot of the other things were to take toxins out of your body. So they had different massages and different like where they really use a lot of heat and a lot of oil and a lot of massages. I had a couple of massages that were like 4 hands, like 2 people massaging you at the same time.
Wow.
And then they had like scrubbers and different things. And I had a mud bath where you go and have Yeah.
How did you find that? Like I'm a little freaked out by that. The only mud bath I've ever got was sitting on a tractor and working in the field. So
yeah, it was it was fine. It was just basically you go and they gave you these little, like, there were, what would you call it? Like really, really thin little kind of underwear sort of thingies.
Yeah.
And then just pack you up, put mud all over you kind of a thing. And then you waited until it dried and then you showered it all off. So yeah.
Well, of course people can't see it through the video that we're saying, but after Michelle and I met with you when you first got back, it was maybe 3 days after you got back.
Yeah.
Your energy had changed. Like, you look great, you look shiny, and you were tired, of course, but hadn't slept in a couple of days. But your energy seemed invigorated. Like you could feel a difference, a change. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, Amish Shah, the guy who did the movie and was there, our host at the event, he said that basically, you remove a whole bunch of toxins out of your body, you put in a whole bunch of good herbs, nutrients, etc., restorative type things, and you eat really, really clean. all the food that was prepared there, they were all vegetarian meals, and they were all made with produce grown right on the place. I'm going to take down the
Wow.
screen share, but you can see the different herbal supplements that they used on here. So that you used, I guess, on there or in there. So depending on so yeah. So let me get out of that. But yeah, that was an experience.
It seems like a lot of this is very localized and specific. So is it something that you really need to go and be in situ to experience?
I think so. I think so. I actually went for an Ayurvedic treatment in Arizona about a
Mhm.
year ago,
Right.
and the practitioner there gave me what they were she would do for me, and she said in the United States, this is kind of like Panchakarma light. If you want the full experience, you need to go to India. And so
Mhm.
that's what ended up doing, going to India and having that experience. And yeah, it was really interesting, and the food was amazing, and the people were great, and they didn't speak very much English, and I didn't speak any Hindi or Urdu, whatever the language is. And a lot of at the treatment center was just all like on in the treatment center. And then we do yoga every day, and we did meditations, and again, lots of massages and that kind of stuff. And then we did a couple little road trips where we went to different temples and
Mhm.
checked out some different temples, which was very interesting as well. There's 5 religions in India. There's Hindu, uh, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, and Muslim. So those are the 5 religions that are there, and they all get along. They all have their different things. It was Ramadan when I was there, so that's specifically for Muslim folks where they don't eat during daylight hours. They only eat after and one meal a day, kind of a thing. So that was interesting, and yeah,
I've
and
been in the Middle East during Ramadan, and it's an experience. If you're in an Islamic country and during Ramadan and you're not Muslim, it's definitely an experience, right? Like
yeah,
it's.
yeah, and
Did you?
they were very, very. Everybody you met was very welcoming and very like just like was enjoyable to meet. There wasn't anybody that I met that was rude or inconsiderate. Everybody was very tried to help as best they could and that kind of thing. So yeah,
You met a lot of people on. I think a lot of our viewers know that you play the harmonica. They watch your music show sometimes,
yeah,
and or all the time. And Al plays the harmonica, and you took what 4, 5 harmonicas with you? How many?
four, four. And it was so funny that it would just be I would be playing the harmonica just so that I'm walking around and that kind of a thing, right? And people would stop me and say, "Can I record you?" First of all, they'd ask, "What is that you're playing?" And then I'd tell them, and then they'd ask if they could record me, and I did. And then I sang some songs as well. And there was one. It was funny. This woman, Davina, was coming out of a club in Goa, and I was playing the harmonica, and she asked if she could record me. I said, "Sure." And then I said, would you like to hear a song as well? So I sang her a couple songs, and there was like, I don't know, about 20 people around, and they were all like into it and applauded and everything. It was fun. And then she said, "Hey, I arranged the entertainment at this club, and we have a DJ that's ending at 10 o'clock. Why don't you come at 10 o'clock and sing some songs at the club?" I said,
Nice.
so I went and sang some songs at the club, and that was all fine. And yeah, so
There's a pop song called "Famous in Japan." You now are famous in India, at least.
exactly. I'm an international harmonica playing freedom. So yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, growing up in central Alberta, harmonicas were not an unusual accompaniment to
Yeah.
campfires and people hanging out. But I imagine in India it was fairly unique.
I guess so, but like a lot of people would ask me what it was about, like what is that kind of thing. It was funny when I was waiting for the plane in Mumbai. Yeah, in Mumbai, I got there like way early. I got there like midnight. My flight is until 6 o'clock, and they wouldn't get until 3. So I just slept on the floor for a couple hours. About no, pardon me, about an hour and a half. And then when I woke up, I was feeling pretty good. So I was playing the harmonica and goofing around. And then when I went to the there's two lovely ladies at the Air India counter, and I go walking up and I'm playing my harmonica as I come up, and this, what is that? So I explained it to them, and they said, can we video you? I said, yeah, sure. And can we take our picture with you? I said, yeah, okay, sure. So I took a picture with them, and that was all good. And then when I was going through the security thing, there was the security guard, and lots of times the security people are pretty official, right? They're doing their job. And I had he saw in the scan of my luggage, he saw like these 3 harmonicas there, and he said, like, what is that? And like he was thinking it was like pistol magazines or something, I think. Yeah, I said, no, there's just a harmonica. And he says, play me some. I said, okay. So my pocket, played a little bit of harmonica for him, and that was well received. That was fun. So yeah. And I met this lovely woman. She's a Greek woman who teaches bachata dancing in Dubai. And
what kind of dancing is that at?
Bachata. And bachata is this really, oh my goodness, it's very sensual type dancing. And she's like, I think she's about 25 or so. She's just this young, beautiful woman. And we had a great chat on the flight from Goa to Mumbai. And then she asked to record me afterwards as well. So I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we had a great chat. And she also sells dance shoes. So we were talking about dance and that too. So yeah, that was a big fun. Yeah. And actually, when she was recording me, these 2 little Indian kids come over and said, what is that you're doing? And so I showed them, and then I had them try playing it a little bit as well. So, yeah.
Wow. So you could go on a harmonica mission to India again. Probably get invited back to the club.
Maybe I'll be invited back for the harmonica international tour or something. Yeah, exactly.
We should check and see if Canada has a harmonica ambassador. Maybe you could fill that.
I'd like to apply for that position, please.
Yeah, exactly. Please, I want to do that. This was one of your biggest trips abroad, though, right?
Oh man, yeah, biggest for sure. And I've never been on a plane for so long, and just like like I said, when I left on Saturday at 5:30 in the evening from Calgary, and I didn't get to go until 7:30 Monday morning. So that was a long time on the plane. And then the way back, you gain from the time zone changes, right? Because there's about 12 hours difference in time zone. But it was like, I think the first flight from Mumbai to the Heathrow airport in London was, I think, 11 hours. And then the flight from there to Calgary was another like 10 hours. So, and then, during that period of time, you can't lie down or anything. So you're sleeping the best you can in the thing. So I got very little sleep. And my friend Daniel, who's traveled internationally lots, he tells me a lot of times, like, you might be like a month recovering from the jet lag. And I said,
sure.
Yeah. Now, well, our colleague Kelvin told me the same thing. He's traveled quite a bit too. And he said, going isn't so bad, but coming back, it really hits you. So, and I still haven't restored my sleep cycle very well. I'm working on it, but I have not been getting a lot of sleep yet, but it's coming. I'm getting better. So, yeah.
When I was in Japan, I worked with the government, and the ministers travel a lot. I was with Culture, Bunkasho, the Ministry of Culture, but we also had the Ministry of Finance or International Affairs travel with us too. And those guys were bulletproof. I mean, they flew first class, but like they would touch down, do what they had to do, and they'd be back on another plane to some other part of the world. And
wow.
Yeah. And most of them don't travel with an assistant. They pick up a local assistant from the embassy wherever they're going, just because it's too hard on stuff, right? Like, amazing stuff.
They've trained their bodies to be able to accommodate that, I imagine. So
I don't know if they ever were completely rested. They always seem to be just like, they were very good at looking like from the outside, but if you knew them and were around them when there was no one around, they were kind of like, having to smoke and 4 cups of coffee before they went back out. But
yeah.
That was a long flight, so that's over 20 hours to Heathrow, which is a big trip, and then from Heathrow to India. Did you have a choice, or that was the only way to get there?
I talked to my my travel agency, Tracy Hamilton. I said, Tracy, here's what I'm doing. Book the flight. So I didn't ask any questions. One thing that was kind of a surprise, she had sent me some stuff and said, oh, how about this place in for Goa? And it was called the Mustache Goa Luxuria, and it was like really really cheap. Like I don't know, it was like $20 a night or something. I said, oh, all right, sure, I'll do that. And then when I got there, I didn't realize, but it was like a dorm type thing. So there was
Oh,
one
wow.
big room with like a like 15 bunk beds in it, kind of a thing, right? And you just like throw your suitcase under the bed and hop in the bed. It's like, no, that's not for me. So one bathroom for everybody. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't think so. So yeah. So
Yeah, I think we all reach a point in our life where, we just like, I can handle economy, no problem. But when I find a hotel, like, it's got to have a private room with a private toilet, with a bath. Yeah, and I'll go without food for a couple of days. But I want to have my own space at night.
I understand. Yeah, and that's what I got too. So I upgraded the room. And that's another thing about with the toilets. Oh my goodness. It was quite a variation from our normal thing. Like a lot of the places didn't have any toilet paper. It was like, and so they just had like a sprayer, like, you'd use on your sink at the kitchen so you'd spray yourself and that's it. And then it's like, well, but no way to dry yourself. So, but anyways, and then, so it was really deluxe if you had the sprayer and toilet paper. Hallelujah. You were in really good shape then. So yeah.
Well, and so many of those hygiene things are so cultural. And I know that when we built our second school in Japan, we had a big debate with the parents, which were half foreigners and half Japanese people, about should we have Japanese style toilets or Western style toilets in the school.
Yeah.
And some of the Japanese parents felt very strongly the Japanese toilets were much more hygienic because you don't sit on a shared seat, obviously.
Right. That's where you squat over the hole kind of a thing, right?
Yeah. And it was very interesting because, of course, to the foreigners, that was like barbaric. And to some of the Japanese, it was like, oh, no, it's way cleaner. And, it's not difficult. We'll show you how to do it. And it's like, so those kind of things, we all have really strong reactions to things like toilets, and hygiene is very cultural. There's not sort of one level of clean, right?
I only use one public washroom, and when the whole thing in India, and it was an experience because it was just a hole in the floor, and it's just like, oh, how do you do this, right? And no toilet paper, no water, no soap, just like, what do you? So, anyways, it was like, it was not a pleasant experience, but that only happened one time. So, yeah.
When we first arrived in Japan, we were teaching for a company. And you would get a portfolio. Usually it was Toyota, Mitsubishi, Honda, one of the big ones. And your travel map, had little notations from the head of human resources that mapped out the Western toilets on your trip for exactly.
Oh, really? So you know where they were. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they had teachers in the past either have an accident or turn around and come back and say, no. So, yeah.
Yes, but the people we met were very welcoming. I walked into like all kinds of different temples and just kind of jumped into their service and danced and tried to vocalize what they were vocalizing, kind of thing. And they were always very welcoming and very engaging. So yeah, it was great. So
in the treatments, and I saw the PDF on it. There was meditation. Was there any religious component to it? Was there any prayers or no? Completely.
Well, I shouldn't say that. We had some like where we'd kind of sing some more religious songs around the fire, as an example, or those kind of things, right? We had some of our leaders who were have like some religious chants that they would use, which was good. So. And so I've also now really changed up my morning routine to expand. I already had a pretty good routine in the morning, but now, oh my goodness, it's all next level kind of a thing. So, and actually every day since I've been back, I've just been refining it just a little bit more, right? And so I'm really excited to see what the payoff will be in terms of my energy and in terms of my, my health and longevity that
Mhm.
it'll produce for me. So yeah. And I learned a whole bunch of new songs as well. So I got a playlist for the morning that's on songs that I've heard, kind of a thing. So yeah.
But you had kind of an ongoing relationship with many DJs, right? Like you sent some videos back, and you like half of them you're talking to a DJ, and one of them was like a very esoteric discussion on beats per minute and like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it was his name was 17.5. This DJ's name was 17.5. And so he was telling me all about it. I said, "Hey, do you mind if I record you?" So I put it on Facebook, and he was telling me about, there's different music styles, and most of it had to do with the beats per minute kind of a thing, right? And I said I met like I think 6 DJs while I was there, and
Wow.
that 17.5. I said, hey, there must be like 1,000 DJs in India. She said, oh, there's 1,000 DJs every street. Like everybody does it, right? And they all make up their own music and mix it themselves, and change the beats per minute on it, and yeah, yeah.
Is music a big part of the culture there when you're out and about and wandering around? Do you hear a lot of music out of the stores and shops and homes and things?
No, no, not really. It was more in Goa, whereas Goa is a party town kind of thing. The clubs would engage DJs in the clubs all the time, right? So,
Mhm.
so that was more so when you read it, and when at the Mustache Goa Luxuria, they always had music playing there around the pool and that, right? So, yeah, but in the normal, like if you just walk downtown kind of a thing, other
Mhm.
than religious chanting at temples, right?
Right, of
That would be
course.
the difference. But other than that, no, there wasn't a whole bunch of music in that regard. So, yeah, which is
Did you
maybe,
hear calls to prayer at night from the mosques?
oh man, yeah, there was at the Diham Nature Cure Center. There was, I don't know, probably it was about 2 kilometers away, there was a temple, and where they had, Ganesh and all the, a bunch of different Indian deities. And they would start like 5:30 in the morning. They would just like get up, get on the microphone and start singing and playing. And so we went there for a little tour and had a great visit with them and danced around there and had the dot on her forehead and all those kind of good things. And yeah, it was very interesting. There was a couple times it was like, there was you could enter this like shrine for one of the Indian Hindu gods kind of a thing. But
Mhm.
if you were a woman, you couldn't. If you were a man, you could, right? But then there was another one on the Jainism, which is super super respectful and compassionate of all life. They had these little like white face masks over their mouth, and I was like, why? What's that for? Right? I thought maybe it's like a prevent disease from spreading, that like a COVID type thing. But it was actually to prevent them from accidentally ingesting a bug and killing the bug inadvertently by okay, so you put the mask on so that that's not going to happen, right? So, all right. So, yeah.
Jainism is a very interesting religion,
Yeah,
and
and it's like
very big.
matriarchal, right? Yeah, so yeah. There was a
Well,
woman there that was in there that I think she was like 85 or something like that.
wow.
And then she had decided this was she was ready to die. So she just stopped drinking and eating. So, and they were
Mhm.
kind of every day you'd go and not, we went the one day, but her followers would come every day and like pray with her and encourage her because she had felt that she had passed on, I guess, all of her knowledge to her proteges, right? So that
Wow.
they could be the leaders now and that she was no longer needed to be here kind of a thing, right? But it had been like I was surprised she's still alive. Like, she's a frail, petite little woman and hadn't eaten or drinking any water for like 8 days or something. It's just like
Mhm.
I didn't think that was possible to do, but she was still pulling it off. I'm sure she's passed by now, but yeah.
There's some traditions like that. I know that in parts of Asia, there's monks that go through that, and they drink a poisonous resin actually that helps preserve their bodies, and in theory helps with some of the pain of starving and dehydrating to death. but often they'll go into like a cave and get sealed in, and then 400 years later somebody will open the cave and there'll be these incredibly preserved mummies. One of the nicknames is living mummies is sort of a translation of it, but it's part this resin that they drink and that helps preserve this, basically living embalming.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting that you experienced someone going through that in India, basically.
Don't, for our viewers, don't try that at home, embalming yourself.
No, please. Yeah. That's an interesting take, though, that, that you have that willpower and freedom to, say, oh, I've done what I need to do here, and I want to move on. And
yeah. So it's very interesting. I took a whole bunch of, I just before I left, I bought these Meta Ray-Ban glasses that have a one, you can play music through them, and it doesn't go right in your ear, it's around your ear, but you can record video, and it's just, hey Meta, start recording, and then it just records video, or hey Meta, take a picture, it snaps a picture. So I was taking a lot of it. That's where that footage on the scooter came from, and
it was really clear.
Yeah, it was pretty good quality, actually. So I think I had some challenges there, but I think it was because of the connectivity that I had a India cell phone, and I don't think their coverage was very good. Yeah, so it was causing some challenges that way. So yeah.
I think India is bigger than most people think it is. I mean, once you're there,
it's huge. It's huge. Yeah, like I saw a very, very tiny little bit of India, and man, I mean, you'd probably need like a couple months just to kind of tour around there to see the whole place. It's huge, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I know that Indian friends I have often say, like we say in Canada, somebody will meet us and they'll say, "Oh, I have a friend in Montreal. Do you know them?"
Yeah.
Indian friends have said, "Oh, somebody will come up and say, oh, I have family or a distant cousin in Mumbai. Do you know them?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, never been there. I live like way on the other side of the country."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the topography like? Is it mountainous or was it flat? Or
where I was, there was a little bit of hills, and they burn all the time. They're burning stuff, like burning. And I was asking one of my naturopath doctors there, naturopath. She was in the process of getting her Ayurvedic certification, but she was a naturopathic doctor. And I said, "Why are they always burning stuff?" And it was basically, she said that they burn the areas close to the living areas to prevent animals from hiding in the like as a protection, right? To keep snakes away and that kind of stuff, right? So yeah. And then we saw a lot
other than the dogs and the cows, which were everywhere from your videos. Did you see other animals?
Some monkeys, yeah, saw some monkeys, and some just out in the wild. I was on my scooter there one time, and a monkey comes scooching out on the road and then goes back into the. And I was, oh, okay. So, and then monkeys, there was some that were at a down in the shops downtown in the shopping area, and there was like, I don't know, about 10 of them in kind of a little enclosure, but the enclosure didn't keep them in. They could easily go wherever they wanted to go, but I guess they were just happy to be there and get fed and hang out there. So yeah.
We think of monkeys as being pretty cute, but they can be very aggressive, and they are carnivorous. I mean, they will and can kill and eat meat.
Yeah, I was watching on one of the Air India flights. I was watching this movie, and it was about somebody who it was supposed to be a comedy, and I did not see the humor in it but basically there was a guy who was hired as I guess they do to scare the monkeys away, right? That you go and because otherwise they damage stuff and cause all kinds of mayhem, right? And so, but he wasn't very good at his job of scaring the monkeys away. They would look at him and he would like freak out, kind of a thing, right? And I watched about half of it, and then I can't remember what happened. I fell asleep or something, but yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. I watched movies in that, on
how many movies?
I don't know. I must have watched like 10 movies, right? More than I've watched in like 5 years, right? So
yeah.
One was one really cute movie was, oh, wait a minute, are we trying to keep this to 30 minutes? Because we're way past. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've blown by that.
All right. One movie that I like was 102 and Not Out. And it was so interesting. There's this 102-year-old man,
Oh
and
yeah.
he has decided that he wants to beat the oldest man alive record. And there was a
Yeah.
guy from Korea who had been this really vibrant guy who lived to be like 116. So he is going to do this. But he says the problem is my son is who's 75 is this really dour, really down guy, and just like really fearful about his health. He'd go see the doctor every day. He didn't do anything enjoyable and fun because it would be too scary, right? He just was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very what would you say? Very conservative and not really having any fun, just surviving, right?
He wouldn't go to Goa.
No, he wasn't going to take any risks. So the father, the 102-year-old, tells the son, "Listen, you're going to prevent me from making this because it's important that I be around people who are vibrant and alive. So I'm going to put you in an old folks home." Year-old's going to put the 75-year-old in an old folks home. It's just like, so instead, the 75-year-old doesn't want to do this. So then he makes a whole bunch of tasks that he has to do so that he doesn't have to go to the old folks home. And the tasks are all like things that restore his vibrancy for life, right? That restore him in kind of being more engaged in life. It was a very cute show. I cried. I like, yeah, it was
What country is it from, the movie?
It was based in India. Yeah, it was an Indian.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And I think it was all from Pune, I think it was, if I recall correctly. So,
yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, they have a very active movie industry, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tons of movies there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So your assessment, I have heard people say that they enjoy going to India, but they never go back again. Just, poverty, issues with begging, and they didn't feel safe and those kind of things. I've heard people say exactly the opposite. Favorite country, can't wait to go back. What's your take on that?
I would have no problem going back. I mean, the poverty is huge, no question, and it's huge disparity between wealthy and poor, right? When you go to Mumbai, man, we're leaving the Mumbai airport and it's a beautiful, beautiful airport. It's like really exceptionally designed. It's incredible. And then when you're leaving, it's like 4 lanes and palm trees and it's beautiful. Right? And you get like 2 blocks out and it's just like dirt poor concrete little things with tin roofs and people are living, this is how they live, right? And just like, oh my goodness, it's just like, yeah, it was like very, very huge poverty. But I don't think I had one person begging. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was like maybe one, but it wasn't a common thing. So yeah.
That's really interesting. Maybe it's changed. I haven't talked to anyone who's been there in the last maybe 10 years. It was quite popular destination for a while, and then I think with COVID and everything, it kind of, Did you find a lot of tourists there when you were there?
Oh yeah, lots. In Goa, they were all over the place. I mean, I met a Russian woman who lives in Italy and was vacationing in Goa. One thing that really surprised me, there was a group of women, there was 4 of them that were lawyers, and all of them grew up in the same community, like all of them went to school together. All of them graduated as lawyers, and then they're all now vacationing together, right? And then right across the pool from them was a group of 6 guys that all grew up in a community outside of Pune. And same thing, they grew up as childhood friends. They're still together. They're still vacation together. And one thing that really surprised me was how they were so respectful. Like you've heard of arranged marriages and that, right?
Yes.
And you think, oh, that's unreasonable and that's unfair and that's not the way it should be. But they were so respectful of their parents trying to do the right thing for them and get them the right mate. So they would just be their parents would check out who there would be the woman that they should marry, and they'd research why that would be a good thing, and they tell their son or their daughter that this is who you should marry, and they would say okay, and they would marry that person, right? And so it was, very interesting how respectful and trusting the kids were of their parents, and how much they valued the parents' advice and opinions, right? So yeah.
Well, again, that's kind of cultural. Like, we think that arranged marriages are bad.
Yeah.
How could anyone do that? But out of all the people I know that have had arranged marriages, and actually, I guess because I traveled a lot, quite a few, very few of them are unhappy. I mean, they're not necessarily all in love, like,
No.
but given our divorce rate in North America, I would suggest that even choosing your own marriage partner doesn't necessarily result in marital bliss.
That's a fact. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm going to
interesting.
tell you this. It was such an experience for me when I was leaving the Deham Culture Nature Cure Center. It was like about 9 o'clock at night, and my taxi guy was coming to pick me up. So I got some little envelopes that I, put, if I have 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees, depending on the person that I'd interact with, and I was passing out these envelopes as tips to the people there, right? And then when I went back into the dining room, it happened to be the meal was served, and the meals were amazing. I think my stomach got upset, probably because I was just eating too much. Like, the food was so good, and they had a couple of Ayurvedic cooking lessons they did, so the food was amazing. And so I went into the dining room. I wasn't eating because my stomach was a little off that day. And then they said, "Oh, Allan, before you go, sing us a song." So I sang a song, and it was all great. And then when we had been in the shopping area before, and they had a lot of flower petals, so they pelted me with flower petals. It was such a great experience. And those people that were there, they were from the UK, they were from Turkey, they were from Nicaragua, they were from Costa Rica. The one gentleman, Andrew Seeley is his name, has a cacao farm in Costa Rica, and a yoga place. Amazing, right? Like, incredible. And the Amish Shah, the person who did the natural law and kind of was our host for this Panchakarma experience, he has like a place in Mexico that he's developing out that is going to be a treatment center there as well. Like, Deham Nature Cure was basically a facility that he contracted with, and it was beautiful. It was really nice, and the people there were great, and yeah, it was a lovely experience. So yeah.
What a wonderful thing. And I think at the end of the day, and is that everywhere I've been, and it sounds like your experience in India is, we're pretty much all the same. We just want to be, allowed to do what makes us happy and take care of the people we love, and, go through our daily life without unnecessary conflict or hardship, and we shoulder what we have to. And if we open ourselves up, we can rejoice in that commonality between human experience, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I mean, everybody wants the same things. They want health, hope, and happiness, right, Scott? That's what they,
Hey, man, what a great way to close out the show. That's so true, right? And you had health, hope, and happiness because of the trip.
I did. Yes, I did. And according to Amish, he says he's been at other Panchakarmas, and he says that that basically the residual effects of it will be positive for up to a good 3 months, so that my health should just get better and better, and my energy just get better and better for the next 30, 60, 90 days kind of a thing, right? So
if you can get back into that sleep cycle.
Yes, I'm going to get there. I'm sure I'm going to get there. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but surprisingly, even with a little bit of sleep, I've been doing really well. Today, I had a cup of coffee because I think last night, and this has nothing to do with the sleep cycle. This was my daughter and my wife keeping me awake, playing cards and dancing last night. So so I didn't get much sleep because of them. They were a bad influence.
Shout out to Caitlin, your daughter, who's up from the US. She gave a talk today on neuro. It's some brain stuff that's beyond my pronunciation, obviously.
And it was all about. She's kind of a world-class biologist, and she does a lot of research with her. Her presentation was on birds and mice and fish, and it was basically a lot to do with their ability to reproduce, and they're doing a lot of tracking in their brains, kind of a thing, in terms of what. Yeah, so it was a really interesting talk that she did. Yeah, it was great. She's a smart woman. Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
Yes.
buddy, it's so great to have you back. Are we going to be back next week at our usual time?
I think we should. Let's get back in the groove here, okay?
Yeah. People have been wondering where we are, and now that we're back, and Jesse so kindly has facilitated us sharing our experiences with the folks, let's rock and roll.
Sounds good. Well, take us home there, Scott.
So glad to be back, everyone. Thanks for welcoming us into your computers, your cars, however you're joining in with us. From my very good friend and a recent returnee of an amazing trip to India, Allan Friesen, and myself, Scott Sweetman. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Get a Matson. Talk to you again.